right, shout out to Earn Your Leisure for putting on this amazing event. We're at Investfest in Atlanta, Georgia. We got the great Kendra G. I watch her show on YouTube all the time.
Thank you.
Like my girl be sitting in the back like, who is that? What are they talking about back there?
Oh, you're in a relationship?
Yes, I'm in a relationship. So
that is the safest highway.
Yes.
Because these single highways, baby, child, you don't never know what you're going to get.
yeah, so my brand is called Black Millionaires. So with Black Millionaires, obviously you building wealth, but you got to protect your wealth, right? So a big discrepancy and a lot of the relationships that I've had is, would you sign a prenup? And a lot of the women say no. And even my lawyer that I work with said she wouldn't consult with me on signing a prenup with my girl because she don't believe in it. Wow. So what do you think people should do when there's assets and wealth involved when it comes to a relationship? Do you think the love should overtake the logic behind someone signing that prenup?
No. Well, a couple things. It's funny that we're having this conversation because as I'm becoming more successful myself, I actually don't even know if I want to get married because of that one reason, because of the asset. And also the thing is this, marriage has a club, right? And when you say marriage, people have an expectation of what your relationship should be. And, you know, this is why I love Oprah so much, because Oprah, at a time where it wasn't as popular to have a life partner, said the confinement of marriage wouldn't work for her. So I am all about what works for you. And if you are a person that has assets, I definitely would protect that. Like, I am thinking about that myself. Yes. So absolutely, you should.
All right, I love that you're right here validating some of my thoughts, because I'm like, listen, when you are someone building, especially as an entrepreneur, one year your life could be this way and the next year it can explode, so you really need to protect that. Now, what advice would you give to those who are single, who are looking to invest in their relationship in terms of they're just getting started dating, gifts, things like that? Because I never really been good at that. I never really been a gift giver, and I think I kind of messed up a lot of relationships leading up to my great relationship now. Just not really being that giver, giving out gifts, paying for expensive dates and stuff like that. I was real cheap growing up. So what advice would you give to single people on relationships and things like that?
So let me say this. I say this all the time because I don't go by a relationship expert. I'm a professional journalist that has been hosting a single show for 2.5 years. But with that being said, I collected a lot of data.
Yes.
So the biggest thing I will say is different things are important to different people. But overall, what I've learned, the most common denominator is single people are self-sufficient, right? So you are stuck in your ways. You might be doing well financially, so you're not willing to put up with a lot of stuff. But a relationship is not Disney World. So a lot of single people are looking for this perfect partner to live this Disney World relationship, which doesn't exist. And that's why I always encourage people that are single to talk to people like yourself in relationships or in marriage, because then they'll learn that two people just decided to do life together and go through bullshit. That's pretty much what a relationship is.
Right.
We're going to live life together. We're going to have times where there's a lot of bullshit going on, but I decided to do life with you.
And I know you just said you're just a journalist, but what you're doing in media, I be watching you be having 2,000-3,000 people on there, and I'm like, man, people are really.
Our numbers are like 9,000 and higher now.
Well, I don't necessarily get to watch live no more. Well, so I only get the.
Oh, well, the playbacks, we have like hundreds. We have videos that have hit millions. But I will say this, and I know I'm going to receive your compliment, but I just want to make sure we get the numbers right. So it's like sometimes it'd be like 9,000 tune in, but overall when it's over, it's like 30,000 people came in and out.
Wow.
So you see when you see the 9,000 people that are tuned in, that's what's watching at that moment. But when the live is over, I get the total amount of people that were watching that came through. So, but yes.
No, I'm glad you corrected me, because I just, I'll be in and out. I got 3 phones, so I'm like, man, I got one phone over here.
You got your own
phone over here doing this thing. So what advice would you give to entrepreneurs in media or individuals in media who want to build a cult following and a core audience to get their message across?
So I come from radio. That's I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for radio. The one thing about radio, I've been married to it for the last 20 years, and podcasting exists now, but I was in radio when there was no podcasting.
Hmm.
So for me to have a job, I always had to move.
Hmm.
So I found myself moving every 4 years to a different city. So if you're career focused, that's great, but personal life will suffer
Hmm.
because how are you gonna have a personal life if you're moving every 4 years and you're the female? Like, usually the woman follows the man.
Right.
So for my own personal desire, I needed something that fit all things Kendra. I didn't know it was going to be a single show. I was in a relationship during COVID. We broke up the day of shutdown, and that was because he was probably messing with other women and didn't have no excuse. I was with him for the whole week, so we had to go see his other hoes. I wasn't a hoe, but the other girls were hoes. So because of that, he ended the relationship. And I mean, I liked him. I wasn't like in love, but more so it was like COVID. You want the companionship. So I didn't want to break up. So I was single, and then I was like, I'm not the only person single. So everybody was doing IG lives, and I was like, and I'm not sure where you'll see this, but Tyler Perry talking about you hear that voice and it's God. And it was so simple.
Hmm.
Just go on live and connect with other single people like yourself.
Hmm.
And I kid you not, the first night, I knew it was life changing for me. I knew it from the first night I went live because I thought I was gonna go and just hook people up with love. It was the other component I never thought about, the entertainment factor.
Yes.
The crazy how people sound and don't know that they sound crazy.
Yes, I
Looking
love
for
it.
love,
Oh
like
my
they have
God.
no idea that they sound crazy. And then so all it took was for me. It was all on me. Like are you gonna be dedicated to this? I'm a journalist, so I know how to interview.
Hmm.
I know how to listen. The best journalists are just people that know how to listen, because
Hmm.
you will say something that will direct me. I don't prepare for nothing. I have my list of questions, but how you answer, how it takes off. So I would say figure out a way to find out what makes you special and run with that. And that's just whatever your uniqueness is. Take that and go for it.
All right, I appreciate you. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure for putting on this amazing event.
Yes.
We're at Investfest.
Can I just talk about how I'm here?
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
I was like, I owe Rashad like the biggest. I was like, Rashad, I'm like the dumbest person. So Rashad came on my show, and
I seen that. Yeah, I
he
seen
came
that.
on my
Yeah,
show,
that was
and
dope.
and the thing about my show is global. So he was like, I had no idea, like people from across the world. And he was like, out of his mouth, he said, other than the Breakfast Club interview, him coming on my show is the most impactful interview that he's done. That he's
Wow.
ever done. So he was like, we got to do something together. So he was pitching to me his dating situation that they're working on.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, no, I got my own thing happening. I don't want to partner with nobody. And I was like, I'm doing this amount. He was like, that's cute, but you could be doing this. And I'm like, huh? So I came down to Investfest to see with my eyes, and I've been telling the whole weekend. I was like, "Oh my God, I feel like such an idiot from that conversation because I was so close-minded to partnership
Hmm.
because I'm big on ownership."
Hmm.
And my backstory, you've been working for people all your life, so now I'm
Yeah.
like, I control this. I ain't trying to give that up,
Yeah.
but you can still control and have partnership that can even elevate you even higher. So I have the most respect for Earn Your Leisure and Rashad, and just the fact that they want to pour in, right? Like they are like, yo, you got something, we could pour into you. And that's what, like, they have a love for that. Like this whole thing is so successful because he has a real love for Black people getting it and knowing our worth and running with it. So I'm just honored to be here, to be honest.
All right. Shout your Instagram and YouTube out
Y'all
so
should
people.
already know, but if you don't know, honey, it's Kendra G Media. I'm a host too, so it's Kendra G Media on Instagram. Facebook is Kendra G, and then YouTube, I think it's Kendra G Live. But if you circle, it's Kendra G. It's gonna be me, honey. The wig and the weave might be different, but the smile is always the same.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
and much,
appreciate
much
it.
love. And Black Millionaires, he's buying dinner. Yes.
Oh man.